The brother literally preaches the gospel.
Well, according to the New Testament, Jews did involve themselves in the killing of Jesus.
I mean, this guy is not a Christian.
He's a
Jew, but it's so wild as he was explaining there on the video that, man, he was like...
Now it's like you're trying to get rid of the Bible.
We fade the Bible out, it's gonna be the Dark Ages Part 2 type of thing. You know what I'm saying? But before we go into that, our names is RJ and Calvin, and on this channel, we make the Bible relevant and practical in your everyday life. If you're new here or not new here, please make sure to subscribe as we are approaching our 10,000 subscribers, and a huge majority that tunes in on this channel unfortunately are not subscribed. Now let's go back to this topic. Ben Shapiro starts preaching about Jesus on his show. The reaction is wild. Bro, let's talk about this. This is crazy. It got everybody like speechless with what's going on here, bro. So tell us a little bit about who Ben Shapiro is, by the way.
Yeah. So Ben Shapiro, he's a very influential conservative. And he leans towards that, the right side. And he has a talk show. He's also the editor of the Daily Wire, as well as he has his own show called The Ben Shapiro Show. And he wrote his first book in 2004 about how universities brainwash America's youth.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so that's who he is.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, just a little context about what we're going to be talking about. There's a bill that was... was it written, or it was about to be written, right?
Yeah, I think it was proposed.
Yeah, it was proposed about anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
As it relates to, cutting out the whole New Testament. And that's wild because that's the whole New Testament, you know what I'm saying? And, what is anti-Semitism, by the way? Just for people who don't know.
Yeah, so pretty much what the bill was about is they were cutting it out because of Jews, right? So it's speaking against the Jewish community. And so anti-Semitism is going against the Jewish community.
People, yeah.
And so the Bible, pretty much they were writing this bill and they were like, hey, we need to pass this because, getting rid of hate speech and certain things so that people of different groups don't have to go through certain things. And the Jews happen to be that group. And a lot of the New Testament talks about Jews in the Bible.
So here Shapiro talks about this, and, pay attention and watch this video.
Now, again, I know what they're going for. What they're going for is the Der Stürmer cartoon of, for example, an Israeli soldier who is drinking the blood of a Palestinian child, right? Clearly anti-Semitic. Or an Israeli soldier who is killing Jesus. And Jesus is a Palestinian, clearly anti-Semitic. However, the way this is phrased suggests that it is anti-Semitic to say that Jews killed Jesus. Well, according to the New Testament, Jews did involve themselves in the killing of Jesus. Jews, the Sanhedrin, according to again, I'm a Jew, so this is not my book. But my best understanding from all my Christian friends and from reading the New Testament is that the Jews, under the New Testament, the Jews referred Jesus for prosecution to Pontius Pilate, who then convicted, out of fear of riots, Jesus to death, and then gave the Jews the opportunity to free Jesus, and they chose not to do so. And in the book of Matthew, there's a verse where it says, his blood be upon us and our children, right? That's all from the New Testament. Hey, Christians saying all that stuff doesn't make Christians anti-Semitic. I think what the IHRA was actually going for here was a different claim, which has been rejected by the Catholic Church, which is that Jews today are collectively responsible for the death of Jesus. Is that the basic idea is that all of humanity is collectively responsible for the death of Jesus. That is humanity's great sin, and Jesus wiped away original sin through his death.
So, bro, the brother literally preaches the gospel.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is not a Christian. First and foremost, he's not a Christian.
He's a
Jew, and he's actually against Christianity. But it's so wild as he was explaining there on the video that, man, he was like, he knew a lot about the Bible. He was preaching the gospel.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like, Jesus, died on the cross for humanity, and then and things like that. It was just it was crazy. Everybody was just shocked when they saw the reaction on this, man. It's absolutely wild, and even, the guy that was actually listening, he was just like, oh, wow, okay, Christianity and things like that. And
yeah,
I think it's just absolutely funny to me that someone who is not a non-Christian can preach the gospel
better than a Christian,
better than an actual Christian. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy.
And I think one of the things when it comes to this is that I think this can affect religious political views because when you have a person like him who is a conservative, which is great, speaking on Jesus. He's such an educated person. A lot of people look at it and be like, oh, let me hear what he has to say.
That's right. That's right.
So it's going to literally make people kind of lean towards one direction where they're like, oh, wow. Like Joe Rogan.
Right.
Another person, he just started reading Revelation.
Right.
I think last year or something like that, he read Revelation.
Yeah.
And when he was reading it, man, there was a bunch of people that just started going into it because Joe Rogan said it.
That's right.
And
that's right.
obviously he's probably the biggest podcaster right now. And so that's the influence of Ben Shapiro doing this.
Right.
Is going to lead others to be like, maybe I should look into this.
I like that. It actually goes in our favor as Christians. You know what I'm saying? Because these influential people who has a lot of followers, a lot of following, when they talk about Jesus and Christianity, hold up, wait, they're talking about it. Let me follow that. Right. So,
right.
Which is actually good. It's the same model that Satan does. The same thing that Satan does. He uses influential people for his honor and for his glory.
Yeah.
And now Jesus is going to even do that to even non-believers. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Even that's crazy.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's powerful. And I think, there's a time where many people from the Jewish community will become aware, like, wait, this is actually Jesus is the Messiah. I think that's going to be a wave that happens.
Right.
As
Amen.
we are in the end of times.
Now, a little bit let's talk about that bill, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's absolutely wild. Like, if it even actually moves forward. If it passes, because that means it's illegal, to even talk about anything about, Christianity or, the New Testament or Jesus Christ and him crucified and things like that. I mean, that to me, I think it was Carlson Tucker who he even tweeted on that. It was like, man, they're about to wipe out the whole New Testament. They're just, the world that we're living in is absolutely wild. That people, and that's why people value podcasts like these that we talk about Christianity, unadulterated, and we're bold about it. We're bold about it. And I think we need more things like this because we're coming into a time where in America where Christianity is not going to be popular. It's actually not popular.
Yeah. If you look at the founding fathers of America and then you look at now, Christianity is like at the bottom of the barrel.
It's wild. Yeah, it's crazy.
But when you look at the founding fathers, everything was all about Jesus. The founding fathers of America influenced and pushed Christian principles. In God we trust on the money.
Exactly.
Right? The Pledge of Allegiance with including God in it. The schools, they used to have the 10 Commandments in school. They used to have prayer before class starts, right? That used to be the case.
Now you probably go to jail for doing that. Doing that.
Well, let's see what wave happens, right? What if the tide turns? Because I did hear something about like Trump where he was saying something about coming into office where it was like wanting to introduce Christian principles back into the schools.
Right.
Or something like that. Yeah. And that's kind of what the right side leans more towards. I don't really do politics, but that's what, the right side kind of leans more towards.
Yeah, and even Kanye West, right? And I think it was Kyrie Irving as well, right? They got really hated on this anti-Semitism.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like they're not playing. They're trying to wipe that thing out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
and crazy. To a certain extent, I get it. It's fair. You want to protect all people groups, right?
Correct.
But now it's like you're trying to get rid of the Bible. Now that's a whole different ballgame.
Now we were talking one day, Cal. You were saying something that I just reminded me. We were in a car or something like that. You were like, bro, if America, if we turn away from the Bible, do you remember that? Something will happen. It's just like this world is going to, it's just not going to be the same world that we live in. It's just going to be a dark world, right? Kind of like what they did in the Dark Ages. Yeah. When they tried to, take away the Bible from us. Right. And that's why it was so dark. That's why it's called the Dark Ages.
Right.
You remember that?
Well, America, you got to remember. Yeah, I remember that conversation. Yeah. America runs off of Christian principle, period. Right? And whether the world wants to accept it or not, the world runs off Christian principle, period. That's just what it is.
Right.
You have the 10 Commandments. And what do we have in society? Laws, right? Why do we have laws? To govern the people. But here's the crazy thing. Man has made over 33,000 laws simply because they don't want to keep 10.
Mercy.
Like, what in the world?
That's wild. Because
You
if
know-
we keep the 10, there wouldn't be no need for the 30,000 laws or whatever it may be.
And if you look at the 10, they're separated into two categories.
Mhm.
The first 6 are loving
Love to
God
Yeah.
as yourself,
Mhm.
and the last 4 is love your neighbor
That's right.
as yourself.
Mhm.
So on these 2 hang all 10
Right.
when Jesus was talking about that. And it's like, dude, if we kept the law of God, I'll show you.
Mhm.
If we kept the law of God,
Mhm.
if we upheld the standards of the law of God as a nation,
Mhm.
we wouldn't have problems. In fact, if you look at America, we still actually keep a lot of those principles.
Mhm.
Like Bill Clinton was removed from office because he violated the 7th commandment,
That's true.
committing adultery.
Right. That's
Right?
true.
But if we, what is it, the 8th commandment,
Mhm.
do not steal,
Mhm.
if we kept that, you wouldn't have to lock your door at night.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm. Yeah.
The 9th commandment, do not lie.
Right.
If we kept that,
Mhm.
people wouldn't be lying about things that they do.
Mhm. Mhm.
And do not kill.
Right.
The 6th commandment.
Yep. Yep.
Dude, if we kept these laws,
Right.
we wouldn't be dealing with the problems that we have today.
Right.
And so America still runs off those principles, to a certain extent, but they're definitely starting to fade out.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we fade the Bible out, the principles of the Bible out, it's gonna be the Dark Ages Part 2 type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
why we want this channel to be a light
Yeah.
to the Dark Ages. To uphold the principles and by God's grace, and to continue to talk about biblical matters in a relevant way.
100%.
Right? So-
100%. Yeah.
So there y'all have it, man. Ben Shapiro with that comment. I mean, just talking about Jesus. We would like to hear your comments. Please. So like, subscribe, and till next time.
Yeah. Peace.